If you're serious about YouTube in 2025, these are the only 3 cameras that you should be looking at. But choosing the right one is going to depend on you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one fits your style, your workflow, and your budget. Now you're probably wondering which 3 cameras we're gonna be talking about today, so let me tell you. The first is gonna be the Sony a6700, which is an APS-C camera. It's the newest of the 3 cameras we're gonna be talking about today. It's a really good hybrid camera. Next is gonna be the Sony a7 IV, which is a full frame hybrid camera. And then finally, it's gonna be the Sony FX30, which is a cinema style APS-C camera that is really video focused. Now, all 3 of these cameras are gonna be really great for YouTube, but they're all great for different reasons. And so we have to figure out which one of those reasons is gonna work well for you. Now, first off, let's talk about price, because when it comes down to it, price is always a factor when it comes down to getting new gear, right? So let's talk about it. The Sony a6700 is about $1,400 for the body only. The Sony a7 IV is about $2,500 for the body only, and the FX30 is about $1,800. Now, these prices are as of April 2025, so those prices can definitely change. Next, we're gonna talk about specs, because specs are, super important when it comes down to getting cameras, right? If you're like me, you're always looking at the specs before you make a decision, right? So the Sony a6700 has a 26 megapixel APS-C sensor. The Sony a7 IV is a 33 megapixel full frame sensor. And then the FX30 has the same sensor as the Sony a6700, so it's a 26 megapixel APS-C sensor. Now on to some of the important things that you're probably also wondering about: video capabilities. Now all 3 do support 4K video, 10-bit 422 color. So you should be very happy with those specs, no matter which camera you go with. But there are some differences in terms of how they can actually, record and what they're gonna do for you. So the Sony a6700 and the FX30 can shoot 4K video up to 120 frames per second with a crop. And the Sony a7 IV can shoot 4K video up to 60 frames per second with a crop. There is no 120 frames per second with the a7 IV. So if that is something that is really, really important to you, or you're shooting those kind of like action, videos, or you need to slow down things a lot, this camera is probably not going to be the best for you. You're going to want to go with one of the other 2 cameras that we're talking about today. So let's talk about a couple other things before we move on. Let's talk about rolling shutter. So when it comes down to rolling shutter, you will notice some rolling shutter with the Sony a6700 and the Sony a7 IV. But with the Sony FX30, because it is a very cinema focused camera, that's going to be minimized a lot. So you're not going to have any problem with that. So if that's something that's really important to you, FX30 is going to be better for you. Now, one of the other things that you might have heard some rumblings about is the overheating of the Sony a6700 and the a7 IV. Now, there have been reports of these cameras overheating. I know there are people out there that say their cameras have overheated. Personally, I have not experienced it yet, but it is possible, I guess, depending on the environment that you're in. So depending on the kind of videos that you're going to be shooting, if that possibility is something that you do not want to deal with, then I would say the FX30 is going to be best for you. And that is because the Sony FX30 has active cooling. So there's actually a built-in fan and heatsink in that camera to dissipate all of the heat in that camera. So you can basically shoot forever with that camera as long as your battery lasts. So that's something that I think is really important to mention. All right, so now let's talk about hybrid versus video centric. So the Sony a6700 is an amazing hybrid with a lower price point. It's great for bloggers. It's gonna be great if you're doing video and some photos as well. So for instance, if you need to capture, photos for YouTube, or if you are also on Instagram, for instance, and photos are important in your workflow, the Sony a6700 will definitely have you covered there. And I think you're gonna be really happy. And the Sony a7 IV, I would say, is a premium hybrid, right? Because it has amazing photo quality, video quality, and it's just gonna be best in both of those worlds, right? Also great for the same reason I just talked to you about, in terms of if you have some photo workflows and things like that, but you're also gonna get beautiful depth of field because it is a full frame camera, and you're also gonna get better low light capabilities than you'll have with the Sony a6700. So if you're doing a lot of photo and a lot of video, that's something to definitely consider because there is a difference there. Next is the Sony FX30. Now, when it comes to the Sony FX30, this camera is pure video focused. It is video cinema focused. It is a camera that is not really meant to be a hybrid camera, okay? There is no mechanical shutter, by the way, so you can't just do burst shots and things like that. So you can for sure take photos, but just know there's no mechanical shutter. So it's gonna be mainly used for video. So who are these cameras gonna be best for? The Sony a6700 is gonna be best for solo YouTubers, vloggers, run and gun creators, folks like that, because it has great autofocus, it's compact. It also has creator friendly features like AI tracking. So it's just really, you know, it's a powerhouse, honestly. I love that camera. Next, with the Sony a7 IV, it's gonna be best for creators that are doing both photo and video, but want that extra low light capability. And also they really want to have that, you know, really nice shallow depth of field in their photos and their videos. That's who that camera is gonna be for. And then also, if you have any sort of a professional element to what you're out here doing, right? If you're doing photography, if you're doing videography, it's also a camera that you can use for that as well. And you're not gonna be disappointed. It has two, you know, SD card slots, so it's gonna be perfect for that. And then with the Sony FX30, this is gonna be best for creators that are focused heavily on cinematic video content. So people who have a lot of B-roll, or if you're like a filmmaker or your videos have a filmmaker feel where you're, you know, setting up, you're doing longer shoot times, you're gonna be like really relying on, you know, the video capabilities that a cinema camera can offer, then this is gonna be the best camera for you. So at this point, you probably have an idea of which one is best for you, but if you don't, let me just kind of tell you exactly who these are gonna be for. If you are on a budget and you want versatility, just go with the Sony a6700. If you shoot a lot of video, a lot of photos, you do some professional work, do the Sony a7 IV. If you want the best video only setup with cinema features, you're gonna want the FX30. Now, I definitely wanna know which one you guys feel like is the best fit for you for YouTube. So leave me a comment below and let me know which one you're gonna go for, or which one you've already picked up. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button for me. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button for more gear breakdowns like this one. Appreciate you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.